Have you ever wondered about the man behind the birth of modern Israel? The man who was at the helm of a nation's creation? Our journey today takes us back in time, to the early 20th century, to the life of a man whose influence is still felt in the world today. His name was David Ben-Gurion. At first glance, Ben-Gurion might appear as any other historical figure, but dig a little deeper and you'll find a man of complex character, a man who embodied a multitude of contradictions. His life was marked by remarkable achievements but also by controversies that continue to spark debates to this day. David Ben-Gurion was a man of vision and courage, a man who dared to dream of a homeland for the Jewish people at a time when such a dream seemed impossible. He was instrumental in the creation of the State of Israel, a feat that earned him the title of Israel's founding father. But who was this man, really? What drove him to take on such a monumental task? And what personal sacrifices did he make along the way? These are questions that continue to puzzle historians and scholars alike. David Ben-Gurion was not just a politician or a statesman, he was a warrior, a strategist, and a philosopher. He was a man who believed in the power of ideas and the importance of education. He was a man who believed in the potential of the Jewish people and their right to self-determination. Yet despite all his accomplishments, Ben-Gurion remained a figure shrouded in mystery. His life was marked by a series of paradoxes, a testament to his complex character. He was a man who could be both pragmatic and idealistic, both a realist and a dreamer. So as we delve into the life and times of David Ben-Gurion, prepare to be amazed, intrigued, and perhaps even a little bewildered. For the story of David Ben-Gurion is not just the story of a man, but the story of a nation, of a dream, and of a struggle that continues to resonate in our world today. Join us as we unravel the life of this enigmatic leader, David Ben-Gurion. David Ben-Gurion was not born a leader. His journey began in a small town in Poland. Born on October 16, 1886 in the town of Plonsk, Poland, he was named David Grun. His parents, Avigdor Grun and Scheindel Breutmann, were members of the Zionist movement, which sought a homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine. They instilled in their son a deep love for this cause, a love that would shape his entire life. Growing up, young David was a voracious reader. He consumed books on history, philosophy, and socialism, and these subjects sparked a flame in him. He was particularly drawn to the works of Theodor Herzl, the father of modern political Zionism. Herzl's writings planted the seeds of leadership in David's mind. This intellectual curiosity and passion for learning were to become a cornerstone of his identity. In his late teens, David made a decision that would change the course of his life. He migrated to Ottoman Palestine. This move was not just about escaping the hardships of life in Poland, it was a conscious choice, driven by his belief in the Zionist cause. He arrived in Palestine in 1906, and quickly immersed himself in the local community. He worked as a farmer, a watchman, and even as a writer. But his most significant role was as a political activist. His early involvement in Zionist politics saw him rise through the ranks of the Poale Zion Party. He embraced the socialist ideals of the party, seeing them as a means to create a just and equitable society in the Jewish homeland. He was instrumental in organizing strikes and demonstrations, advocating for the rights of Jewish workers. His leadership skills were evident even then, as he galvanized his peers and rallied them to the cause. It was these early experiences that laid the foundation for the leader he was to become. His formative years in Poland and Palestine, his immersion in Zionist politics, and his unwavering commitment to the cause, all played a part in shaping David Ben-Gurion, the man who would one day become the first Prime Minister of Israel. Ben-Gurion's journey into the political arena was not smooth sailing. As we delve into this chapter of the story, we find a young David Ben-Gurion making his foray into the bustling world of Zionist politics. He wasn't handed a ticket to the top, but rather, he earned it, every step of the way. In the early 1900s, Ben-Gurion found himself in Ottoman Palestine, a land filled with promise and potential. Here he became a major player in the Zionist labor movement, championing for the rights of Jewish workers and farmers. His passionate advocacy and fiery rhetoric didn't go unnoticed. In no time he was elected to the Central Committee of the newly formed Poale Zion Party, the labor Zionist party that sought to meld the ideologies of socialism and Zionism. Ben-Gurion's leadership abilities didn't stop at party politics though. In the late 1920s he took on the mantle of leadership at the Jewish Agency, an organization tasked with facilitating Jewish immigration to Palestine. His role was no small feat. He had to navigate the complex political landscape, balancing the interests of the Jewish immigrants and the locals, all while under the watchful eye of the British mandate. And navigate he did. Under his stewardship, the Jewish population in Palestine grew, laying the groundwork for the future state of Israel. Ben-Gurion's vision was taking shape. He was forging a path for a Jewish homeland, brick by brick, policy by policy. All the while, Ben-Gurion was also shaping the pre-state Jewish community in Palestine. He was instrumental in the establishment of the Histadrut, the General Federation of Jewish Labor, which played a crucial role in the economic and social life of the Yishuv, the Jewish community in Palestine. Yes, there were hurdles. Yes, there were setbacks. But with every challenge, Ben-Gurion only grew stronger. His resolve, his determination, his unwavering belief in the Zionist cause, all these served to propel him forward. Despite the challenges, Ben-Gurion's political star was on the rise. His journey was far from over, and his greatest achievements were yet on the horizon. The year was 1948, a year that would forever change the course of history. This was the year that saw David Ben-Gurion, an enigmatic leader, make a move that would indelibly etch his name into the annals of time. On May 14th, beneath a large portrait of Theodor Herzl, the founder of modern political Zionism, Ben-Gurion made a proclamation that shook the world. He declared the establishment of the State of Israel, marking the culmination of years of Jewish struggle for a homeland. Ben-Gurion's proclamation wasn't just about words, though. It was a call to arms, a rallying cry in the face of adversity. The very next day, the newly born nation found itself in the throes of a full-scale war, the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. The surrounding Arab nations had declared their intent to obliterate the fledgling state. But Ben-Gurion, ever the strategist, wasn't about to let his nation crumble. He took charge, overseeing the war efforts and guiding his people through the tumultuous period. Despite being vastly outnumbered and outgunned, Israel emerged from the war intact, thanks in no small part to Ben-Gurion's leadership. His role in the war only served to solidify his reputation as a leader. In fact, his leadership was so admired that in the aftermath of the war, he was elected as Israel's first prime minister. He took the helm of a nation born out of struggle, a nation that had defied the odds to exist. Ben-Gurion's proclamation and his role in the 1948 Arab-Israeli War were pivotal moments in history. They marked the birth of a nation and the rise of a leader. But they were also testaments to the power of determination and the will to survive. With the birth of Israel, Ben-Gurion had achieved what was once thought impossible. His leadership, his vision, and his unyielding spirit had guided a people to their promised land. This, then, was the birth of a nation that would forever bear the mark of David Ben-Gurion. However, leading a new nation was not without its trials. David Ben-Gurion, the architect of a fledgling nation, found himself in the eye of the storm, grappling with challenges from within and without. As prime minister, he was at the helm of a vessel navigating uncharted waters. The burden of leadership weighed heavy. Internal political disputes were a constant thorn in his side. Ben-Gurion found himself in a political arena rife with ideological differences, factions, and power struggles. The very diversity that gave the young nation its vitality also threatened to destabilize it. But Ben-Gurion was not one to back down from a challenge. He countered the turmoil with a vision of unity, seeking to bridge divides and steer the nation towards a common goal. Yet the trials did not end at the nation's borders. Israel was a small fledgling nation in a region of giants, and external threats loomed large. The shadow of conflict was never far, and the specter of war was a constant companion. Ben-Gurion's leadership was tested time and again as he sought to safeguard his people and preserve the sovereignty of the nation he had fought so hard to establish. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of Ben-Gurion's tenure were his decisions. Uncompromising and resolute, he often chose the path of most resistance. His decisions were not always popular, and at times they were downright shocking. From the displacement of indigenous people to the prioritization of military strength, Ben-Gurion's choices were driven by a singular goal: the survival and prosperity of Israel. These trials, these tribulations, they did not break Ben-Gurion. Instead, they forged him, honed his leadership. They were the crucible in which his legacy was cast. For better or worse, Ben-Gurion's decisions shaped the future of Israel. Every leader's journey must come to an end, and so it was for Ben-Gurion. In 1963, after a political career spanning nearly half a century, David Ben-Gurion decided to step down from his position as prime minister. He retreated to a humble and secluded life in Sde Boker, a kibbutz in the Negev desert. There, he exchanged the hectic world of politics for a simple existence, dedicating his time to reading, writing, and reflecting. His retirement, however, was far from quiet. Ben-Gurion's mind was as active as ever, and he continued to voice his opinions on the state of Israel and the world. His views, often controversial, were sought after by journalists, politicians, and intellectuals alike. He became a sage in the desert, a voice of wisdom that echoed from the barren landscapes of the Negev. But the world of politics was not done with him. In 1970, 7 years into his retirement, he was coaxed back into the political arena. He formed a new party, the Israeli Workers' List, and ran for a seat in the Knesset, Israel's parliament. Although he won the election, his time in politics was short-lived. A year later, at the age of 85, Ben-Gurion finally bid farewell to politics for good. His final years were marked by a sense of solitude. The once vibrant leader, who had stood at the helm of a burgeoning nation, found himself alone in the desert. Yet, even in his solitude, Ben-Gurion never lost his spirit or his love for his country. He continued to write, to read, and to dream of a brighter future for Israel until his passing in December of 1973. Even in his final years, Ben-Gurion remained a figure of intrigue and controversy. His decisions, actions, and words continued to be dissected and debated, painting a complex portrait of a man who was, above all, a visionary, a leader, and a tireless advocate for his people, a man whose sunset years were as compelling as the rest of his life. David Ben-Gurion left behind a legacy that continues to reverberate through history. The man who once stood at the helm of a fledgling nation, guiding it through turbulent times, left an indelible mark on Israel's political, social, and cultural landscape. Ben-Gurion's decisions and policies have shaped the Israel we know today, a nation that emerged from the ashes of the Holocaust to become a global player on the world stage. Ben-Gurion's steadfast commitment to the Zionist cause and his vision for a Jewish state in Palestine were instrumental in the establishment of Israel. His decision to declare independence in 1948, despite the looming threat of war, set the stage for Israel's survival and growth. His policies, such as the law of return, offering Jews worldwide the right to return to Israel, continue to influence the country's demographic and cultural landscape. The legacy of Ben-Gurion is also evident in Israel's robust economy. His emphasis on education and investment in technology and innovation laid the foundation for what is now known as the Startup Nation. Israel's thriving tech sector, with its innovative startups and cutting-edge research, owes much to Ben-Gurion's foresight. However, like any influential figure, Ben-Gurion's legacy is not without controversy. His handling of the Arab-Israeli conflict and the displacement of Palestinian people remain contentious issues. Critics argue that his policies have contributed to the ongoing tensions in the region. Despite these controversies, there's no denying the impact of Ben-Gurion's leadership. He is remembered as a pragmatic leader, a visionary who was unafraid to make tough decisions. His resilience and determination continue to inspire generations of Israelis. As we reflect on the life and legacy of David Ben-Gurion, we see a man who embodied the spirit of a nation, a leader who navigated through uncharted waters to anchor his people in a land they could call their own. David Ben-Gurion, a man of paradoxes, a leader who left an indelible mark on the annals of history. David Ben-Gurion's life was a testament to the power of determination and vision. He was more than just a man. He was a force, a driving spirit that was instrumental in shaping a nation. From his humble beginnings to his rise as the first Prime Minister of Israel, Ben-Gurion's life story is a compelling narrative of resilience and resolve. His leadership, marked by trials and triumphs, has left a lasting imprint on the annals of history. The legacy of Ben-Gurion is not confined to the borders of Israel, it resonates around the globe. His story is a reminder that individuals can indeed shape the course of history. That vision combined with unwavering determination can move mountains. In the end, what we learn from Ben-Gurion is not just about the history of a nation, but the story of humanity and its capacity for extraordinary feats. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of David Ben-Gurion. Don't forget to subscribe to Historical Leaders Unveiled for more insightful videos about the leaders who shaped our world.